I'm not nervous. Okay. Breathe. This is all on camera. Okay. So I am here with Brent Walton, AKA the Liberty Park High Five guy. Did I say that right?
You got it.
But now
Perfect.
is better to be known as the Liberty Park Low Four guy?
Air 4.
Air 4
Yeah.
guy.
I had to make some adjustments.
A little bit of
to
adjustments.
My deliveries.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're doing a social distancing interview, and I've been wanting to interview Brent for a while because he has an amazing story, super, super interesting. A lot of people probably know him because if they go to Liberty Park and if they run here, they've probably run into you. Not literally run into you, but seen you.
Just a couple times.
Just a few times. So tell us a little bit about this. I'll let you.
All right, well, yeah, for about the past 5 years, a little over 5 years, I've been running the park intentionally.
As a
intentionally, no, well, I ran the park before, occasionally, but I went for a run. It was about a little over 5 years ago. I was getting my car worked on, so I was like, I'm just gonna go for a run. And on the way back, it's just like 3 miles. I just started spontaneously high-fiving somebody, or not somebody, like several people, probably 10 people, like in the last, couple hundred yards or whatever it was. And
because you're just full of adrenaline. And
I don't know, it just came out of nowhere, and then people were like, like most of them were kind of excited about it. A couple people were like, "What's up?" And so then, like, I don't know, a week or so later, I went to a park near my home, and I remembered, like when I was running, I was like, I'll do that again. That seemed like fun, right? So I started high-fiving people, and most of them were pretty receptive, and I ran 2 laps, so I got a couple people like more than once, and they were still into it, so I was like, yeah. And then I was like, I'm gonna take this to the big stage in Salt Lake City.
Whoa.
And well, it's a big park, right? It's a big running park, and
take this to big time.
Yeah, take it to the big time, the big stage. And I immediately decided to run kind of opposite the natural flow of traffic, because most traffic, as you look around, like after the cars go that way, most people go that way.
Counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise. So I ran clockwise to get maximum high fives.
Okay.
And yeah, that's been over 5 years. Thousands of high fives. I probably ran 900 miles in the park or so in the last 5 years. Not a lot of running for a runner, but it's a lot of high fives, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how often do you go? Once a week?
It depends. This week it'll be 3 times because I'm going to go running right after we're done here.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's 2. I shoot for 2. Sometimes 1 to 2 times a week. And I'll be honest, like I don't go like in the middle of winter.
Okay.
I'm kind of a fair weather runner / high fiver, I guess. That one was an inversion. Plus, there's not a lot of people in the park then, so it kind of defeats the purpose in my mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you always go? Do you do it every time you come and run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't run like a normal person.
Just a normal, low key, keep to yourself, keep in your lane kind of running.
No, I don't know. I did that before, obviously, before I figured this out. But
do it the fun way.
Yeah.
Cool. So people get used to seeing you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do they start to say hi and you develop relationships with people?
Yeah, like I've met a lot of people over the years. Like sometimes I'll just stop and like ask them if I can take a selfie with them, or whatever, and introduce myself if I've, somebody I feel like I've seen a bunch of times. So yeah, I've met a lot of people over the years.
Have you ever hung out with someone outside of the?
I used to stop over at the Beans and Brew quite a bit, like park my car there, and where I would begin my run. And
Pause real quick. Sorry, I just realized I had another
battery
mic right on me. Like,
okay,
I'm gonna switch out this one.
Okay.
Pull this one through.
So, we just had a change of mic, and you'll notice the mic disappeared. That's the magic of this show. So.
Amongst many other ways.
Yeah. Okay, you were saying.
Yeah, the question was like if I ever hung out with people outside of like high-fiving. I've stopped over at Beans and Brew quite a bit. That was like my starting point for quite a number of years. And I've chatted with people in there. Maybe outside of the park itself, no. No, I wouldn't
Okay.
say, but I see people all over. Like people recognize me. Like when I'm teaching yoga, sometimes as the high five guy,
Oh, nice.
or I've been up at Snowbird. You know, I was when I first started, I was in Arizona visiting some family, and we were bowling, and it was like less than a year into it, and this woman was like, "Hey, you're the happy high five guy, you know, and Brent Walton," and I was like, yeah, and okay.
The happy high five.
Yeah, you know, she didn't get the name right, but that's close
I
enough.
love that.
And we were friends on Facebook, and she just followed my stuff on Facebook, and I had about, you know, I was around 4,000 friends, so it's kind of hard to keep track. They're not all obviously friends, or, you know.
From the high fiving mostly?
Some other stuff I did in the past, like some Big
Okay.
Brothers Big Sisters and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, but she, you know, regularly watched some of my posts that I put up and recognized me, which I just thought was kind of crazy,
Cool.
you know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a good time.
That's so cool. So, so you're doing this high five. You do it in the summer, not in the winter. Do you ever have people who are not so excited about the high five? I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, for sure.
So-
Yeah. I mean, I had a guy one time, you know, I tried to high five him twice, but usually it's just like I just put my hand up, and if you like don't take it, you don't take it. And sometimes people high five me on the second lap or the third lap once they figure out what's going on. But the second time
Oh.
around, he was like, "Get the F away from me," and I was just like,
Okay.
I'm not
All right.
I'm not really aggressive. I run
Yeah.
like I'll kind of run towards you, but I'll just run by you if you don't put your hand up. It's not like I'm like gonna circle around you and antagonize you to get a high five.
Force you. You must high five me.
Yeah. I had an older woman one time, you know, she walked off like the sidewalk and like looped out of the way and was like, "Take your medicine," kind of very indignant, you know. I was like, I am. It's
Just
called high
because
fives.
someone's enthusiastic, you know, doesn't mean.
Yeah, but you don't know what people are going through, you know, like if they're having a bad day or something really big is happening in their life or whatever, and they just want a little piece, and
Yeah,
this crazy guy comes up and wants a high five.
Well, and that was my question at first when I thought about this. I was like, oh man, you know, for those of us who are more shy and inhibited, that would be nerve-wracking because it'd be like, oh, you know, what if people don't like this? What, you know, in life we just have all these doubts that stop us from even trying something, you know. So it just made me curious, like what, you know, what keeps you going and
The
keeps you
smiles and, you know, the laughter and people's kind of playfulness. Because like when I'll, you know, high five or air 4 now, you know, for social distancing, I do keep my distance. So it's, you know, I got these gloves on, right? And I give these air 4s. And even when I did the high fives, I'd be like, "Woo!" And then people would be like, "Woo!" And I'll be like, "Woo!" And sometimes I'll go back and forth like multiple times. Not always, you know, but, and when I was high fiving before, I'd be doing like double jumping high fives with people and, you know, all kinds of different variations, chest bumps occasionally. So that kind of just that, it's super fun for me and often seems super fun for other people. So that
That's
definitely
so
just kind of
cool.
keeps me going. And
Yeah.
the few people, you know, that don't want a high five, I mean, some people won't even look at me, and that's fine. You know, I'm okay with that. I would say 9 out of 10 people are usually pretty receptive. So,
Okay.
you know, those are pretty
Yeah.
good odds. There's way more positive reactions in my mind. One of my favorites is this guy, you know, on the first lap, because, you know, if you're going opposite, you're going to pass each other a couple times, you know, usually. And, you know, he gave me a really enthusiastic high five, and I think it was one of these, you know, kind of like Top Gun style. And the next one, he like slapped me on the butt, you know, and he's like, "Keep going."
Okay.
And then the third one, we're over by the, you know, Beans and Brew area, and I see him off in the grass. So I run towards him, and I think we did like a double jumping high five. And then he dropped down kind of low and grabbed me at the waist and like hoisted me in the air, spun me around like victory hoist style, and I got my hands in the air. And then he set me down, and then we high fived again. He's just like, "Keep going," you know. Like, there's a lot of motivation there, right?
It's like Insta best friend.
Yeah, and I've seen him a bunch of times, you know, since then. And you know, I ran through, you know, multiple times. I've ran through like cross country running teams or like what's like the little military
training academy. Or
Yeah,
something?
training academies or whatever. You know, where you're high-fiving like 20, 25 people, one after the other. They had, what's the yoga festival in the park? A couple of years ago. And they had a 5K, right? And so I ran the first lap with everybody. And then I paused at the halfway mark.
Okay.
And then I ran it backwards.
Okay.
And I high-fived like hundreds of people, right? And
That's
like my
awesome.
arm, I couldn't even put my arms down. Like I was just like this for like the whole lap, like for a mile and a half, pretty much. Just my arms are sore,
gosh,
but this is
that'd be
amazing.
tiring.
Yeah. So I mean, I could go on and on and on. For me, like a family that stopped and got out of the car on 7th East, you know, to high-five me. You know, just pulled over on the side of the road. Must have been like, there's the high-five guy. Go, go,
get
go. I
him.
don't know. You know, and they came running from around a tree, and come to find out, yeah, they came out of the car. Mom was still in the minivan waiting for him on the side of the road. So, yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome that people just, you know, have grabbed onto it and love it. And
Yeah, they seem to enjoy it, you know, more often than not, for sure. And
That's so cool.
Seems to bring them joy. It definitely brings me joy. I feel like it's a win-win.
yeah, seems like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, another thing that is, one thing I wanted to ask was that you also, and this is, I think, how I met you, you were wearing, it was at a Halloween party.
Oh, yeah.
You were wearing a Halloween costume that was a superhero costume.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I found out about the high five thing, because you said you would wear it sometimes or something like that during the high fiving.
I never wore that
Okay.
that costume for high-fiving. Not yet.
But don't you have a shirt? Or,
I do, yeah, it's called
this shirt.
It's called Zippy Man. There was some
Okay.
videos that are on YouTube. I did some charity stuff for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned, and sometimes I did it like dressed up as a superhero and made a few videos.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he goes back
That's right.
like a long ways.
Oh, okay.
He, you know, like that.
Yes,
that character.
The alter ego.
The alter ego.
The other
alter
identity.
ego.
So this is the shirt you wear for the high five.
Yeah. Actually,
okay.
I have like 3 of them, different colors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then another thing, you just got married recently
Yeah.
here at Liberty Park, just
Right over there.
If any of you have been to the gazebo here, it's right on this island, right in the middle of the pond. It's really beautiful. They had a social distancing wedding, just a few people, like close, intimate
Zoom,
loved ones.
but with Zoom, of course.
Partially Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, we had 150 accounts logged in, I think, or plus.
Wow.
And because my wife is French, we had people from like 12 countries. So yeah, it was really,
Crazy.
it was pretty awesome.
So
The Liberty Park High Five guy got married in Liberty Park.
Yeah, that's the perfect wedding. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So I
was a good
guess
time.
in that case, you just have you on the Zoom, and then because normally with Zoom, don't you have a bunch of screens with different people, but they're all watching you. It's not like they can all have their own screen.
Yeah, I mean,
So
they all actually, one of the things we did for the gallery view was we asked everybody to wear white and also have a flower and a candle in their frame.
okay.
And so then when we finished the wedding, the ceremony, usually, you kind of have the line or whatever, receiving line. We just walked over to the laptop and then we just took turns like talking to people and, everybody had a word. And it was really cool because almost everybody, did as we asked and wore the white and had the candle and the flower in the frame. And when you go back and look at some of the screenshots, it was really cool to see. Yeah, it was really special that way.
That's so cool. So you just get them, you kind of pop up on the screen one by one, I guess.
Yeah, you can click on each one or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and give them an opportunity to talk and mute everybody else.
That's so special.
Yeah.
I love that.
So,
Cool. And how did you two meet? That's another thing I think is really cool.
we both went to India in 2018. She went for a yoga teacher training, and I went for a meditation teacher training. And our schools were maybe 100 yards apart.
Okay.
And she came over to my school to get an Ayurvedic, like Indian massage, like Indian medicine, if you don't know.
Okay.
And
Just putting the shadow on because there's too much contrast on the camera.
Okay.
In your face.
Which is good to know. We'll go back a little bit.
how did we meet? Want to start over?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So how'd you guys meet?
Well, we met in India. We went there in 2018 separately.
Okay.
She went for a yoga teacher training. I went for a meditation teacher training. We were both there for a month. Our schools were about 100 yards apart. She came over to my school to get an Indian Ayurvedic massage. And
like a
because
good
we had other
idea.
services available there, you know, the school did.
I recommend it. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, and when she was done, her friend came with her, and then she was waiting for a friend. They're like, oh, you can just go in the kitchen and have dinner while you're waiting. And it was like a big long table, like, I don't know, 10 of us at the table or whatever, my fellow meditation students. And she came down and sat right next to me. That's how we met.
Oh,
So that was the beginning of my great French love affair in India.
oh, all right. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And do you speak French?
A little
Un
bit.
peu- un
peu. Yeah. I'm working on like Duolingo for a long time. It's, yeah, but we probably need to practice a little more together. That's where it really happens.
Oh,
It doesn't happen on an app, you know, right?
Just do it
yeah.
and jump in.
I do like 3 lessons a day most days, but it still takes
that's good.
takes a long time
Well,
to learn that way.
I did Spanish on Duolingo I stuck with it for 3 or 4 months or something.
Yeah.
I was picking up words when
Sure.
I'd hear people having conversations.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, I know that word. But I realized I wasn't able to converse as much. But, you know, I didn't get that far into it.
I think I'm on a 52-day streak right now.
Oh, nice. Hey, it gets in there.
Yeah, slowly.
So, do you think you guys will ever end up in France? Is that?
It's a
Ever been a
possibility. It definitely was talked about that in the beginning. It just made more sense for her to come here. She's a horsemanship trainer. There's a lot of work here, like in Park City and stuff. She's volunteering right now, waiting for a work permit. But she really likes it here. She's a yoga instructor as well. So I think but you never know. Yeah, we could end up anywhere. She's lived all over the world. So we could.
And so you're a yoga instructor. Where do you teach yoga?
I teach at Salt Lake Power Yoga, right downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, hot power yoga.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about it. Plug your studio. I mean, are you doing it? Is yoga something that is being done right now? Or?
Yeah, we're open.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been open for maybe a month and a half,
Okay.
a little over a month, maybe a month and a half. We have a room that normally would fit 75 people if it was completely packed.
Okay.
They only allow 18.
Okay.
And the teacher has to wear a mask, and so
Gotcha.
they're following all kinds of protocols,
Cool.
of course. But it's hot power yoga, it's vinyasa, and it's 95 to 100 degrees. It's a fairly physical practice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's about right, it's like go outside now, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
It's better in the
That's
winter.
got to be beneficial. I mean, it just sounds so like it. I mean,
Cleansing?
I'm sure at first it's probably uncomfortable, and you probably get used to it as you do it more. But yeah, no pain.
We're gonna get you come to the studio sometime.
I should. Yes, I have felt for a long time I need to do yoga as a regular thing, and I've had that suggested many times.
Your future
So,
self might thank you.
It's never too late. Yes, I would love to.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the other thing I was really interested about is the silent retreat
Really?
that you had told me about.
Yeah.
But that was this is separate, I think, from the yoga and the meditation stuff?
Yeah. I did a silent retreat last June.
Okay.
It's called a Vapasana.
Okay.
And it's up. This one was in Lava Hot Springs, right outside of Lava Hot Springs, not in the hot springs. And you go. There's about 50 people. They separate the men and the women, and there's no eye contact. There's obviously no talking. There's no you can't read, you can't journal, you can't listen to music.
Wow.
Yeah. You basically just kind of look down, when you're passing people. You don't acknowledge people. You don't I was in a room with another guy, sharing a room, and his bunk was 4 feet away, and I think we accidentally made eye contact 3 times or something in 10 days. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the purpose of the not interacting?
I think it's just
part of
kind of going inward, instead of projecting out into the world or being influenced by the outer world. It's just seeing what's available inside.
Oh, okay. So kind of how meditation really just makes you kind of be with yourself, which I guess we don't do as much because we're reacting off of people, we're reacting off our environment. We wake up in the morning, we're tired, then we eat and we're full, then we work, then we're hungry, then we're tired, then we take, drink coffee or whatever it is.
Right.
To make you go within so that you're more aware of here, so that when you go back out and interact. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of it, this particular one is a Buddhist style meditation, and they say straight from the Buddha, supposedly. And I think it's S.N. Goenka who brought it back like 50-ish years ago into popularity. And, it has a lot to do with letting go of like striving for something, grasping, or aversion. And that's where like a lot of your pain and suffering comes from. Like, I want this, and I'm going to reach for that because if I get that, then I'll be happy. But we kind of know that really isn't the case, right?
It's
and
the
also
carrot.
like, or I'm going to aversion, or I'm just going to avoid this painful thing instead of just accepting everything for what it is. And there's a lot of discussion around that. Like, you go to the meditation hall, and there's like kind of is kind of dictated, lectured kind of. They don't. You don't speak. So there is some exposure at night, once a night, to kind of a lecture.
But the purpose isn't interacting.
Yeah,
the purpose is to teach you.
Yeah, it's just kind of hearing and kind of taking in the message as part of the meditation. So yeah, it can be pretty intense. Some people don't make it. Like, some people leave like after a day or 3 days.
Wow.
Or 6 days. Yeah, they kind of. It's some people find it way too intense.
What was the full length again?
It's 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
It sounds like it wouldn't be that hard, but I'm sure once you get there.
I didn't find it to be very difficult to not talk to people or whatnot. You're meditating almost 9 hours a day. Yeah, and it's on a schedule. Like, you can meditate for like an hour and a half in your room or in the meditation hall in the morning, and then you meet in the meditation hall at another time, and then you have lunch. Everything is scheduled. And you have, meditate for an hour or an hour and a half at this time and this place. You have a little bit. The only thing is, in between, you can go like either nap or like go walk in the grass. It's kind of like a farm.
Okay.
But it's pretty much eat, sleep, meditate, and maybe walk around. That's,
wow.
For like 10 days.
So when I had a physical therapist once who did Ironman things where you do all these obstacles, but I think you run for hours, kind of thing, like across these vast expanses. And my question for him was what do you think about the whole time? And he was kind of taken aback by it, because I mean, probably when you're in that habit, it's meditative. I'm sure running is, when you're doing it for that length of time and it's just you and the running. Because I think I and I'm sure a lot of people these days get bored easily. So the idea of not having something to keep you preoccupied sounds difficult, even though how could that be difficult?
I mean, everybody's different, right? I don't know what went through anybody else's mind, like in the meditation retreat. Actually, they let you talk the last day. I shouldn't have told you that.
Oh no, that was a surprise!
Yeah.
Spoiler!
You don't know I didn't know going into it that you could talk the last day, which is actually really interesting. Because then all these people that inevitably, you do think about like, oh, what's that guy about? Or, what's this person? Or you have some kind of like preconceived notion based on what they're wearing. Because you still, I mean, in my case, I still observe and kind of wonder, or I don't know, whatever. You're always making up stories. We're always making up stories, right, about everything around us and people around us. And it was really interesting once you got an opportunity to talk to them on the last day to find out what they're really about. And they're really some fascinating people.
Find out they're the opposite of what you thought. I thought that guy was a chef from Spain. Turns out he's a mechanic. I don't know.
Right, yeah. I don't know.
So what was the hardest part for you?
I just had some stuff I hadn't quite dealt with, previously. And that kind of hit me really hard in the first couple of days, quite honestly.
Like emotions?
Yeah, just like prior experiences in life. And it was like, oh, that thing that happened, and I don't really want to get into the details too much, quite honestly.
But
however,
it's like you suddenly realize, I haven't dealt with this, or
I was like, I might have been really not the best version of myself in a prior experience, and kind of had to deal with that reality when I thought about it differently in the past, like maybe. Oh, it wasn't all on me, or that wasn't my fault, or I didn't do anything wrong, and all of a sudden I was like, you know, and then to have to
Interesting.
then you're kind of like at odds with that, and kind of ruminated on that a bit, you know.
I've actually wondered to myself real quick, like sometimes I wonder if we're so distracted that we don't take the time to think about the consequences of our actions these days. Like you say something to someone, whether it's online or in person, and then you walk away and then you're immediately in your car listening to a podcast, listening to music. Everywhere we go, we're distracted by the next thing, and I'm wondering if our avoidance of contemplation these days is actually keeping us from thinking about what we've done, you know, or reflecting on our own, you know, behavior.
That's quite possible.
that's interesting.
I mean, again, like everything, you know, we all are in different mindsets, and
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, I don't say all, but maybe don't understand the consequences of their actions and how we inadvertently treat people, you know. So, yeah, when we
just
take a moment to go,
Wait
Yeah.
a second.
But ultimately what I came to was like, well, I don't want to be that way again in the future. So, you know, I can't change what I did. And it's like anything really. It's like, well, what did I learn, and how can I be a better version of myself later? That was kind of the biggest takeaway for me in that, you know, particular realm of, you know, that part of that experience. I mean, there are other things that came up for me for sure, but
So it's kind of like you do this silent retreat, and while you're doing this meditation and reflection, stuff in your life is coming up. Like you're thinking about the things in your life that you don't always think about or don't always really sit with.
You know, I definitely did. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's got a different experience.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are more meditative and are able to kind of just let things pass.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my challenges, like a lot of people, is I tend to ruminate on things.
Yeah.
So that definitely came up for me quite a bit.
Me too. Yeah.
And I also found one of the interesting things was I found myself thinking oftentimes about like having a future conversation with people about the experience, explaining like what it was. Oh, this is what it was like. Well, when I'm still there, like,
Oh
so
my
you, So you
gosh.
figure out like how your brain
Yeah.
works. Like, I'm thinking about this future conversation with this person, how I'm going to tell them, and how they're going to react, and how I think they're going to react about the experience that I'm telling them about that I'm really currently still having. So it's like, okay, maybe I have an opportunity to be more present to just like the sensations of my body and my breath, and not all this dialogue.
Yeah, being
So-
either in the past or in the future,
Yeah.
which, I am in a point in my life where I do feel like it's really important to experience what we're feeling, you know, not deny it, not suppress it, not avoid it, but let it wash through all the way, experience it fully, and it'll cycle. I mean, this is what I experience. Again, can't talk for other people, because sometimes if you experience something fully, maybe sometimes you could just get stuck in a low phase and not ever cycle back out. But what I'm finding is when I experience it all the way, I'll cycle back out to the other side and feel better and have more perspective. But,
Feeling your feelings.
Yeah.
It's a good way to go, usually.
Actually feeling the feelings.
So one of our mics has died.
Oh.
So it's not yours, it's his.
Okay. Was it a while ago?
I
Or?
think you're just a mic
Man, you just don't want to hear what I have to say, huh?
So the mic is back.
Mike's back.
The magic mic. So anyways, so we were just talking about that experience of, being with yourself, experiencing your feelings, and the tendency to either look back or look in the future, which can be good, but it's also good to focus on the present.
Yeah, I think, that's like for me, like that's what I love about high-fiving is I feel like it really brings me into the moment.
Okay.
Maybe even more than say yoga for me personally. Because I'm just in that moment, having that like that just brief exchange with you or whoever I'm high-fiving, air-foring, that brief connection, and I think it really draws me in, and I think that's like your flow state, right? That's what you were talking about earlier about the runner, and I think that you were really kind of describing maybe a flow state. You didn't use that verbiage, and I feel like that's what I experience definitely when I'm high-fiving people, is kind of a flow state, and with a lot of joy. So
That's so cool. I've
Yeah.
heard that phrase a lot, and I think I have a general concept of what it is,
Yeah.
but But yeah, that's so amazing. And I'm just so excited I got to talk to you about this, because it's just the most fun thing, and I'm sure so many people love it, and it just brightens their day and makes them feel better, and connects with people. That's one thing I think we need so much these days, is to connect with our neighbor, connect with strangers, people we don't know. Maybe not physically right now, but emotionally, and with eye contact and these kinds of things. So
yeah, I think people just want to be seen. I think we all want to be seen, and I think maybe when people are out here or anywhere, sometimes they're just in their little world, they're on their phone, and I think a lot of people just desire to be seen. It's a way to see people. We can do it a lot of different ways. So I always just encourage people to look for ways to spread joy or happiness in the world that is meaningful and easy for you to do. Whatever, if that's just making eye contact and saying hello, or holding the door for somebody, or whatever it is, how can you find a way to reach out to people? Because I think people need that for sure.
Yeah, and
I kind of know. I almost know that people need that. We
yes.
all need that.
And you can do it in your own special way. It doesn't have to be like anyone else's way of doing
absolutely.
it. That's so cool. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And we can see your high five stuff where?
I'm on YouTube, the Liberty Park High Five guy, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much all the stuff.
All the good ones.
Yeah,
all right.
So.
Well, check him out.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.